Hey everyone, it's Karnak, Star Wars Armada Explained. Thanks for joining me. We're going to be looking at the Amity title today for the Starhawk. Um, so the title, if you look there in front of its name, you'll see a little dot or bullet point signifies that this title is unique. You can only have one of it in your fleet. Bottom left-hand corner, how do you know what ship it equips to? Well, there's the Starhawk symbol there. Obviously, there's a big giant Starhawk on the picture there. I love the art in these new expansions. It's just all so well done. This is a faction-specific title for the Rebel Alliance. It costs 6 points. And let's get into the card. And there's some neat things that I'm like seeing, and that I wish that they'll carry over into the future. So Amity, you'll see it's for Mark 1 only. And we'll get into what that means in a moment. I'm going to read through the rest of the card. After you deploy, gain 1 evade defense token. When an enemy ship overlaps you, you may deal 1 additional face down damage card to both ships. So, how does this card work? Let's dive right in. The first part about this card is that it says Mark 1 only. So the Starhawk has 2 variant types. It has the Mark 1 variant and it has a Mark 2 variant. So this title can only be equipped to the Mark 1 variant of the Starhawk. You cannot put it on the Mark 2 variant of the Starhawk. And I really like this idea of ship cards that are you can only put a title on certain kinds, and I would love to see an expansion like a title only expansion that just gives out tons of titles and they're only for specific variants of a ship. Because man, think of just how much more use would you see of like an assault Gazanti if there is a specific title for the assault Gazanti that made that better or do something. I don't know, I just like the encouragement of this idea of potentially promoting ship types that maybe you wouldn't otherwise see on the play table as much. So I hope they do something more of that. Anyway, a little bit of a tangent. Let's get back to the card. So after you deploy, gain 1 evade defense token. When is the timing for this? So if you're doing a normal setup here, as soon as you pick up your Starhawk and then you plop it on the table and you say, okay, it's going speed 2, and then you take your hand off it, it's deployed, that's the timing window for when do you switch out the evade. So it is after you deploy. So it is in the middle of the game. You got to say, I got to remember to get my evade defense token. Although that is such a gotcha moment. If essentially, as long as you don't proceed into the ship phase of the first round, if somebody says, "Oh, I forgot my evade defense token," or even then, like casual guys, it's a defense token. Don't beat people up over something like that. But the technicality is if he doesn't gain his evade defense token as soon as he deploys the ship, he technically doesn't get one. But again, play casual, use your best determination. So that is how that part resolves. I do want to mention that also works for essentially like with Admiral Radis. Remember, he sets ships aside to be deployed later. Not that you could deploy a Starhawk, but if you could somehow deploy a Starhawk, I'm just making sure I'm using this as a reference. Again, Radis doesn't work with Starhawks. That was Eritid. But if it did come out of hyperspace due to an objective or some other effect, when it deployed from that, that's also, again, when it would gain the evade defense token. Okay. Let's get into the final part of its card. When an enemy ship overlaps you, you may deal 1 additional face-down damage card to both ships. So how does this card resolve, and how does this work? Well, as you know, normally, pull out the pieces I need here. Normally, when you ram a ship, you overlap it, or it overlaps you, typically both parties will suffer a face-down damage card. There are some card modifications that may change if it's a face down or face up, but those are titles, one for the Hammerhead, one for the Super Star Destroyer. And of course for flotillas, if it rams you or you ram it, only the flotilla suffers a face down damage card unless you have the face up damage card. Gosh, not that one. What's it called? There's one in here where if you overlap something, you'll get an additional damage card. It's in here. I'll find it. Here we go. Damage controls. That's the damage card. Okay. All right. So again, just to walk through, you got your maneuver. You set out your maneuver tool. Or that's not when he overlaps. When an enemy ship overlaps you. So we'll say the Super Star Destroyer came in, it rams you. You both immediately suffer that one face down damage card. Okay, because the damage cards do get dealt while the ship is maneuvering. And then the ship drops back to the next position available on its maneuver chart. Now, as it says, when an enemy ship overlaps you, so this is still in the same timing window of when you're suffering damage cards, you need to declare, hey, you overlapped me. I'm going to deal one additional face down damage card to both ships. Meaning that instead of suffering the regular 1 and 1, it's 2 and 2. Okay? Now, in the case of a flotilla, if the flotilla was the ram you, again, it would be the only one to suffer that one face down damage card, but if you wanted to, if you triggered Amity's effect, it would be dealt a second face down damage card, but you would also deal one face down damage card to the Starhawk. So this is very much a risk versus reward kind of system. Maybe there's a ship like an MC-30 or a Gladiator where you really don't want to spend too much time shooting it, and you would rather just ram it to death. The Starhawk's got 14 hull. He's got a little bit of hull that in some situations you may decide, you know what, it's worth it to me to suffer this extra hull damage if it means I just blow the ship up and I don't have to worry about it anymore. Now, I'm not sure if that's such a great trade against a Super Star Destroyer, but your mileage may vary. All right. So that is essentially Amity. There is one more interaction I want to cover, and that is with hardened bulkheads. So this hardened bulkheads only equips the large ships, and especially what its essentially what its ability is when you are overlapped or when you overlap a ship of a smaller class size or are overlapped, you deal one fewer damage cards to your ships. Essentially, it makes large ships immune to ramming unless they're getting rammed by a huge ship or another large ship. Now, does hardened bulkheads block the additional damage card that's being dealt? It does not. It will block if there's an initial card from a ram being dealt. Again, if as long as it's only being rammed by a small or medium ship, it will block that first one. But if you trigger Amity's effect, that additional damage card isn't the result of an overlap, it's the result of a card effect. And currently, I'm not aware of anything that will negate this additional damage card being dealt to your Starhawk. But that, again, you know, some people may want to utilize that kind of a combo that just ram things forever and potentially blow them up. So that is Amity. I am not aware of anything else or crazy interactions going off this card. It's pretty straightforward. You guys are fantastic. Getting so excited for Worlds. Hopefully we'll get an FAQ. I've been told, you know, for months and months and months that we'll be getting an FAQ, but I also know it's kind of stuck in development approval process right now. Not by FFG. There's a whole process for all that getting approved. So just hope that we'll see something before Worlds. If not, just know that I'll be making a lot of my rulings based off of the Carnix Armada reference manual that I have. I'm looking to get some approval with that from FFG that I can use this document at the tournament. But we'll see. You guys are fantastic. I'll catch you all next time.